Hi, it's Vicky Whitfield.
It's George Flanagan Jr. here.
Paul Cook here.
Hey guys, Conor Winnie here.
Ben Crooks here. Welcome to the Two Yorkshire for the Saint Rugby League podcast. Hope you enjoy.
Together we rise, no room for fear. In this Super League we unite as one.
Welcome back to Monday Night Live on the Two Yorkshire for the Saint Rugby League podcast, sponsored by Acorn Joinery Leeds. Carl, do you want to introduce our special guest for tonight, mate?
Yes, good evening, everybody. As you can see, we have got one Jordan, but we're clearly missing another Jordan. Before I give him too much stick, Jordan number one, we'll call him. He's unavailable at the minute due to childcare reasons. So, you know, everybody's entitled to a bit of slack. For now, we've got Jordan Weir with us. Jordan, first of all, mate, how are you?
Yeah, good, gents. Thank you very much. Been a hard day, being at work myself, but looking forward to chatting rugby league with yourselves for the next little while.
Yeah, that's it, mate. And it's certainly tough at the top. Full-time commentator, full-time job role. So I don't know, you get the hours to squeeze it all in. As we discussed off air, there's a fair bit of commuting for yourself to do, mate. Just before we get into our weekly segments, pal, just give us a bit of a lowdown how you got into what you're doing and where you are with it at the moment.
So bit of being nosy, really. I always wanted to sort of be a radio presenter. I had a conversation with the parents at sort of 13, 14 and going, this is what I want to do. This is what, and everything like that. And then grew up a little bit, realised I wasn't going to be hosting BBC Radio 1 breakfast anytime. But, I had a look and always had an interest in sport, always been a massive rugby league fan, always been like a massive football fan as well. And thought, that may be an opportunity. So got an opportunity when sort of 17, back end of one season, to cover a Whitehaven game for what was League Weekly then in terms of match reports. The regular guy who'd done it was away on holiday and he said, do you want to step in for me? I was like, yeah, no problem. Getting for 3, get paid. Yeah, why not? Absolutely. I'll see what I can do. And he actually decided not to come back to the role at the end of that. So I got offered the gig fairly early on and of doing it just freelance, just obviously home games and, doing that, sending the match reports over and got to know the then BBC commentator at the time, John Cox, who was yet again, he was a commentator for a number of years for BBC Cumbria covering Whitehaven and just got an opportunity and, a couple of games, obviously started doing, travelling more to away games. He was like, why don't you come and join me? Why don't you come and help me on the summarising? Because he was often on his own at away games. It's always sometimes really difficult to get people who in and around the Yorkshire, Lancashire area to join. So he said, why don't you come and join me? And just sort of got in doing that and got the opportunity in 2014, I think it was, to start doing like updates. That was back when Radio Cumbria had a show on a Sunday afternoon covering rugby league. Got an opportunity to start doing updates and then just got into it sort of doing that. So just sort of fell into it really. It was just an opportunity that came up with doing one match report and here I am, 13 years later since doing my first match report, now doing full time for BBC Cumbria. This will be my 5th full season doing the Whitehaven commentary. Had opportunities to commentate on Cumbria, opportunities to cover Barrow, Workington, commentated at my first Super League game, which also happened to be at Magic earlier this year as well for BBC York. So yeah, for something that just started so small with one match report, I've just been able to run with it, and here we are now, still trying to fumble my way through covering Whitehaven week in, week out.
That's it, and we discussed briefly off air when you was waiting for you as well, Gaz, that Jordan, you're a Whitehaven supporter, but there's a little sneaky Leeds Rhinos fan in there, I believe, of yourself as well. Can you just give us a quick insight to how that came around?
Yeah, there certainly is, and we sort of mentioned my mum knew a family down in Leeds, obviously when we are in West Cumbria to West Yorkshire to be a gap, but we had my mum knew someone in Leeds with the work that sort of she did, and we went down to see them, and then they had Rhinos season tickets. Got to admit, probably watching Super League on the telly as a boy, as a youngster, I probably was a bit of a Bradford fan. The likes of Vinacolo, Leon Price, Robbie Paul, Paul Deakin, Sean Harpy, you know, that team of the early noughties for Bradford. But, you know, I remember going to a Leeds Bradford game, stood in the Western Terrace with a little sign that said Bradford. But yeah, over the years, you know, just watching the Rhinos and being in that South stand, and it's been a few years since I've been to a Rhinos game now, but always keeping an eye on the results from afar and being there for the grand finals a few seasons. I know Gaz isn't going to be too happy because it happened to be against the Saints when that Saints had that awful run all them years ago. But yeah, just become a Rhinos fan following that, and always keep an eye on now the likes of Sinfield, Maguire, Burrow, rest in peace, Rob. But you know what I mean, just sort of players like that. You know, they were the ones that turned the Rhinos around in there, you know, alongside Jamie Peacock, Ali Lawatiti, Jamie Jones Buchanan. You could go forever. You could with the Rhinos. So yeah, always Rhinos are my Super League side. Whitehaven through and through, but you know, Rhinos are the second team that I definitely keep an eye on and watch when they're on the telly.
Yeah, that's it. Guys, I'll ask the question because I know there'll be a lot of people watching thinking it. Surely you don't have two teams, do you?
I do have a soft spot for Whitehaven. I'm not going to lie. Same with Widnes for obvious reasons. You know, they gave us their stadium for a season whilst your one's being demolished and new one being built. So soft spot, yeah, but I don't necessarily support a second team. I just like to see them do well.
That's it.
I'll step in with that. I think obviously where we are in sort of Cumbria, everyone's got a Super League side. You know, you may support Whitehaven or Working and Barrow, but because obviously, you know, there hasn't been a Super League side coming out of Cumbria for what is 30 seasons now, 30 years. Workington was obviously the original back in 96. I think a lot of people have now developed a Super League side, and you know, we get a lot of people. There's always buses going down to the likes of Wigan, going down to St Helens. As we now speaking off air about it, you know, there's plenty of people from Whitehaven who make the journey down to St Helens. I know a few myself who make that journey down. I think we get a lot of people who are Whitehaven Working or Barrow supporters, but will make that journey to go and watch top class rugby league and first class rugby league. So that's why they make the journey to the likes of Saints. Maybe not so much this season, as you know, as no doubt you boys have discussed in recent months. But yeah, definitely always making them trips to Headingley or to the Brick or to to Saints or wherever it may be to watch top class rugby league. We've got plenty of Warrington supporters in Whitehaven as well. There's a bit of a connection there. Gary Chambers, of course, he's a Whitehaven lad who's very much heavily involved with the Rhinos there. With the Wolves these days. So you'll always get people, and I think in West Cumbria who will have their local side. And obviously they have a Super League side as well.
Yeah, and as you can see, the chat started already. So don't get distracted by the riffraff down there, Jordan. We're used to this now.
No worries.
Especially these two. The dumb and dumber down here.
The best thing is just not to show them. That's what I say.
Well, yeah, it's true, yeah.
So as soon as you put it like that, Jordan, I'll let you off, mate. There was fairly a logical reason behind your two teams, so fair play with that one, mate. I didn't really look that deep into it, if I'm honest. Just before we get on with the normal segments, just a quick shout out to like and subscribe. Obviously, we've still got the QR codes in the top left and right hand corner of the screen. One's WhatsApp, one's YouTube. So if anybody watching isn't already subscribed or involved with the WhatsApp group, please give it a scan, come over, say hello, and get involved. Guys, we've got a fair bit to get through. So starting with round 22 games. Can you flash that? That's the one, matey.
Way ahead of you.
Yeah, way ahead of me. Unfortunately, St Helens way behind on the scoreboard in that one, mate. Leopards have got a good win over the Knights. The Robins was okay in the second half. Wigan Warriors pretty much doing what Wigan Warriors do. Turn up and get the spoils. And obviously Trinity just fell short to the Rhinos. Individually breaking these games down, fellas. Thursday night was the first game, Gaz. St Helens 18, Hull FC 32. I said to you last week, didn't I, that I'd be shocked if Saints got beat. Hey, like I said a second ago, what the hell do I know?
It's one of those games. They absolutely turned up. They defended so well on the line as well. I mean, the amount of ball we had in their 10, and they kept us out. And like I said in the WhatsApp group, fair play, they deserve it. It is what it is. But I mean, where do we go from here? He's up. No, I'm not even going to bother. I never agreed to that. I never agreed to that. Get lost. Right. That's the last comment I'm showing of yours now. You've been red carded.
Yeah. So the question is, where do you go with that, mate?
I mean, it's a big rebuild, isn't it? I spoke to Eamon McManus at the weekend and just tried to offer me support. You know, he's probably been asked the same question a million times in the last couple of weeks. Who's the head coach and all that? They don't even know yet. They've whittled it down to about 4 or 5, I believe. One name that's creeping up is Willie Talau. Anything else, I'm not sure, but we'll see. I mean, there's players there who are apparently looking to offload, like Lewis Murphy and Nenny McDonald. Especially Lewis Murphy, who's still got another bloody 3 years somehow. Yeah, I think we've got this for a couple of years now, but I will take that if we're going to build from within and use the youth system. We've got a crop of great young players there. So just have to see how that goes.
Yeah, and there's no doubt, you know, you don't just become a bad club over a couple of seasons. I mean, Jordan, how do you see the Saints this year and what they've sort of gone for, obviously releasing Paul Rowley, and as an outsider looking in, where do you see, you know, this club going moving forward?
Well, I was actually I'd done the commentary on Saints' Cup type at Workington, where they absolutely demolished Workington on that evening. And I was sat with Dave Parkinson, who's the regular Workington commentator for BBC Cumbria that night. And I was like, do you know what? Paul Rowley might have something here. Don't get me wrong, they're going up against what was a League One side last season, but everything just seemed to be there. You know, you would, maybe expect it pre-season, a cold Friday night. Saints hadn't played a league game yet. You're thinking they might come into this a bit cold, but they were red hot that night, absolutely white hot. And you look and you think, do you know what? Paul Rowley might have something here. And it just seemed to go downhill from there. From the outside, you look and go, this isn't a St. Helens side. This isn't a St. Helens side that's built on grit and determination that you've seen. The likes of James Roby and Kieran Cunningham and Paul Sculthorpe and Jamie Lyon and all them, Paul Wellens, all them sort of boys. They're just a completely different side. And Tristan Saylor, Jackson Hastings, Jax Wellesby, all them sort of dilemmas. Obviously, Wellesby's been missing for a little bit. Just them, they don't seem to know how to fit all three into the same team. And it just doesn't seem to work from the outside. And I mean, Gaz mentioned there about some of the youngsters. I think that's got to be one of the positives, that you're able to bleed the youngsters. We've had a couple of youngsters up at Whitehaven this season. We actually had 2 play for us yesterday in Alfie Sinclair and Cole Marsh.
Yeah.
So I mean, and they've never let Whitehaven down when they've played. So and I know plenty of them have been on the likes of Swinton as well in recent seasons. So the one positive for Saints is that you're giving youngsters and bleeding them into the system. I think that's going to have to be where the Saints go over the next few seasons. You mentioned the coach there. That's who's looking at that going, yeah, I want that. I mean, we're seeing how hard it was for KR to recruit a coach, and they were on top of the form. They are the world champions, and they still struggle to recruit a coach. So, who's going to look at that? Who's going to look at that Saints job and think, yep, that is what I want to do. That's a rebuild job there for someone. And Saints fans might just have to be patient. As Gaz said, it might take...
We really do.
Yeah. It might take a year or two. You might... The way it goes, they're going to miss out on the playoffs. Probably, potentially. It would take a bit of a turnaround for that.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, Jordan, I think it's not a bad thing, because we've got this, this thing of we've always made the playoffs, but I think we've also kind of dined out on that a little bit. Whereas now, if we don't make it, that's kind of our rock bottom. That's like our version of getting relegated. We're saying, we need to pull our fingers out here and get this club back up and running again.
Yeah. And also, guys, you said that for... Sorry, Jordan.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, absolutely. I mean, KR did get relegated. Carl, KR did get relegated back in 2017. Look where they are now. Do you know what I mean? Like, Wakefield got relegated. We're playing Championship Rugby League 2 seasons ago. Look where they are now. Why you never expect Saints to be playing Championship Rugby League anytime soon. And obviously, with the way IMG is now, it's very unlikely to be playing Championship Rugby League anytime soon. But this could be, like you said, this could be Saints' relegation. This could be, right, this is a huge reset now. Let's push the big red button. Let's sort our house out. Let's get rid of some deadwood, of which there's probably a bit at Saints. There's maybe players there who do now need to move on. and they need to bring the youngsters in and be a bit more savvy with signings. Look elsewhere, look at the top performers in the division. Is St. Helens still an attraction for players who are maybe good performers for maybe a Wakefield or other teams in and around there? Yeah, absolutely are. That St. Helens name still holds a lot of weight. And if you can start trying to rebuild that over the next season or two, then, hopefully in the next few seasons, Saints will be challenging once more, as they should be.
Yeah. I think you said,
Joe, I do kind of agree with Basil there, because the amount, I mean, I'm not going to badmouth the championship or anything like that, but the amount of mistakes we're making, it's the fundamentals are just not there at the moment. Yeah. These two are just having a little kiss and a cuddle down the hill, leave them to it.
So we've discussed about St. Helens and what they need to do and rebuild, etc. And I'll be the first to come on here and roll my hands up and say I've given Hull FC a lot of stick in the last few podcast episodes, but ultimately, guys, I know it's a pain for you to say it, but you have got to give them a bit of credit, haven't you? Because they've been second to bottom of the league for a number of weeks now. They've been churning out terrible performances, so we've got to give some credit where it's due.
Oh yeah, I mean, I said it on the night. They absolutely deserved the game. They were the better side throughout. We had moments where we'd done all right, but they kept catching us out down that right edge with Harvey Barron.
Barron,
yeah. Every time the winger was coming in, he was left out wide, long ball out over, which is what we was trying to do to. Who was it? We were trying to do it against someone anyway, and it wasn't working. But way up, the CEO has arrived. Welcome, young man.
Than never.
Welcome, young man.
So just before we wrap this just before we wrap this result up, guys, I mean, just a quick thingy from yourself. I mean, are Saints done now? Is that the playoffs done?
Unless Lee have a massive brain explosion, which I highly doubt. I was speaking to Derek Beaumont at the weekend as well, and he said everyone apart from Tezinho is back and ready firing. So I don't really see them dropping points.
Right. That's fair enough, mate. Your opinion counts for a lot, and like you said, I think ultimately it probably needs that for him to come back bigger, better, and stronger. So hopefully that happens for the Saints club. We will move swiftly on to Friday night. The Lee Leopards 22, York Knights 14. This was a close game for quite a while. And Jordan Weir, I'll come to you, mate, on this one first, because you'll know, you'd have seen York multiple times over the years now. Don't get me wrong, they've changed in recent years, but they're certainly giving it a fight, aren't they, in the Super League at the moment?
They are. I mentioned during my commentary at the Magic weekend, you've got to remember this is a side alongside Toulouse that have had half the central funding that the rest of the division have. So, they've received 650,000 compared to the 1.3 million that most of the other sides in the division have had. They've come up with a lot of names that got them there last season, the likes of Toa Mata Affer, obviously Max Shane, who's of course a former Man of Steel, Galliano. There's plenty of players there that have helped them in the Championship and are really, really playing well in the Super League. I've got a little soft spot for Nick Williams. We had him at Whitehaven a few seasons ago. He's now playing centre for the Knights, and I get along with Nick really well. So yeah, I've got a soft spot. I've got a soft spot for the Knights, and it's great to see what they're doing and showing that there is life outside of Super League. That if you give an opportunity to the top sides in the Championship, they can come in and they can compete. And there's a lot of talk over the years whether that gap has been growing and growing and growing, but London Broncos a few years ago, they were really unlucky not to stay in the division, and now Bradford, Toulouse and York are just showing that there is life outside of Super League, that if you can give them an opportunity, you give these Championship sides an opportunity, sides that have been in the Championship for a good few years, and of course it's York's first foray into Super League, that if you're giving them an opportunity, they won't let you down, and they've been all great additions to the Super League this season. So yeah, really happy to see the Knights doing as well as they are at the moment.
No, I'll totally double that as well in terms of what you said. I totally back that. The Lee Leopards, we know they're a strong side. CEO Jordan, that is. I mean, they just had that little bit too much for York in the end. I mean, the pack seems to be getting them up that field, and obviously the likes of Armstrong and Lamb, etc. They're doing the business when it matters, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Like I say, I was saying this a couple of weeks back. I think they've hit form at the right time of Lee. We all know they started poor, didn't they? And obviously, I was backing them to do well this season. Like I say, like Jordan was saying, is I think York they are almost like a brush of fresh air out there. Like it's a brand new team. I absolutely love York in Super League. I think they're really a really good addition. I was kind of worried how it'd turn out for them in first season. I thought, to be fair, I think all three of us probably expect him to be trounced every week, but they're doing really well. Like saying, they put up a fight and they play to 80 minutes and they're doing some really good rugby. And I think when you come up against the Lee side who are on form, and obviously they've kind of late at party, aren't they? They've started, they're doing it hard, coming from, lower end at table and working their way up. And I think they're trying to cement their point in 6th spot now. So I think we're always going to be difficult for York to have a win there or any chance of a win. It would have been more of a surprise, to be fair, if they'd have beat Lee. But fair play to them for giving it a go.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Gaz, one Lee player I don't want to give a shout out is to Offengawi, because that bloke is an absolute machine and is so difficult to put down, mate. And he's the one who's causing all kinds of trouble for the York Knights defensive line.
Yeah, he's got some engine for the big lad, hasn't he? He doesn't seem to run out of gas, but yeah, he's just one of those players. He can be quite elusive when he wants to be, kind of.
Yeah, certainly for sure, mate. One of the other results on Friday night was Wakefield 22, the Leeds Rhinos 24. This game really caught my eye because I was at the Cass Rovers game, obviously, and I kept looking over to my phone and seeing what was going on, and then Wakefield sort of got out to an early lead, and then there's all of a sudden there's people in our WhatsApp group writing the Rhinos off, and I'm thinking, nah, don't be, you can't write a team like the Leeds Rhinos off. So I mean, Jordan, just give us your overriding emotion of that game, mate, because I know you was one of the ones where you was absolutely devastated at half time.
Is his blood pressure back down again?
Yeah, you'll certainly.
I think, like I say, the thing for me is Wakefield were absolutely outstanding in that first half. They bullied us in every area, and I don't think for 1 second we underestimated them, because I don't think most teams do that nowadays, because we don't know, do we, what's going to happen. But it felt like that. It felt like we knew we were going to have a tough game, but I don't think we expected them to be as ruthless as they were. And their props just bullied us all over the park in that first half. And it was quite embarrassing, I won't lie, because it made us look really small. And, if you think if you forget for a second that we're trying to go for that Leaders' Shield, just getting into a playoff position where you feel like you can play these bigger teams, we looked really poor to a point where I actually would have thought Huddersfield probably would have beat us in that first half. We laid down so easy. We were poor in attack. His defence were poor. And obviously, I was saying this to you boys last week, and my mind's still not changed. Losing Sivo, losing Hanley, which obviously I know we've got Hanley back now. We lost Miller in that game as well with HIA. Obviously, thank God he came back. We swapped Riley Lum. Riley Lum's supposed to have had an injury for Edgell. Even though we were okay, we should technically be okay on wings. We're actually not. So for me, with Sivo gone, injury, Hanley's been out, Rhinos out. I said this to you boys with Toulouse game. We struggled on them wings, and we scored 2 tries through middle. And when you're playing tougher teams, that's going to be hard. And that first half, especially, I felt like if we played anybody else, that game would have been done and dusted.
Do you know what else as well, Jordan? Like you're saying about how you didn't get any try down the wing, so you started playing down the middle. That's good. You had a plan B there, and considering how strong the pack is as well, Wakefield. You know what I mean? You adjusted, found the way in.
Yeah, it's one of those for me. Like, I felt like with the Toulouse game, we were okay because, like I was saying before, game were kind of done by half time. It were 18-0 at half time with Toulouse game, and you know, I went to that one, and we were in front all the way through game. You know what I mean? But with Wakefield, it was different because not only did we not have that wing capability of, like, it's for me, and I know, like, say, correct, you might say I'm wrong, whatever, but for me, Edgill, Harry Newman, as much as the quality, the way they were positioned and out of position, etc., and Edgill not playing a lot of first team rugby this season, I was never going to see him running down wing and bursting tackles and stuff. So for me, it would always going to be a tough game because we'd have to, like, say, position wise, it'd have to be through middle. And that second half was a very strange second half. Let's put it that way. I thought it kind of tipped in our favour, but they weren't as ruthless as they were in first half. And that, I think, if they just carried on the way they were, Wakefield, I don't think they would have come back. It was just it were a tough game.
Yeah, I'll bring Jordan Two in here on this because he's, like I say, he's a part Leeds Rhinos fan as well. Would you agree with that, or would you say there's a little bit of thingy in that, Jordan? I mean, everybody's entitled to their own opinions, aren't they?
Yeah, I think Wakefield were always going to come out and have a fast start. They're obviously they're in a fantastic position that probably not many people expected them to be in this season. They were always going to come out, and you the likes of Hamlin, Dewelly, and Fatili, you've been able to bring them off the bench and just supplement what you're starting with. That's great to have. But I think did the pressure just finally start to tell on Trin? I think obviously back-to-back tries for the Rhinos, obviously 2 tries in 3-4 minutes. I think that was just then a lot of pressure, wasn't it? And a side who haven't had a lot of playoff experience in recent seasons, and the squad hasn't. The game, it ended up being a playoff intensity, doesn't it? And that's what you want this time of year. That's what you want to start getting battle hardened for the playoffs. And Trin might learn a few things from that now with Daryl Powell's side, but he always used to be never right off the Saints, but it's never right off the Rhinos, is it? You know what I mean? With that, and then they didn't, and they had a couple of opportunities, didn't they? They would come really, really close before Hankinson got that try just 3 minutes from the end. So, half time, you were sitting there going, wow, what am I watching here? And when Sinfield goes over a couple of minutes into the second half, you can, oh no, here we go again. But the Rhinos back to back, and then Hankinson going over later on, and I think that last sort of 15 minutes really sort of belonged to the Rhinos, and if they were going to get back into it, if they got back into it earlier, you didn't see Trin getting back into it, but Trin were able to hold on right until the end. But like you said, never right off the Rhinos.
No, that's it, guys. Just a quick word on Wakefield Trinity before we move on. I know I've said in previous weeks that I think they'll fall off. Now, everybody on the podcast last week, and everybody in the chat, and everybody in the WhatsApp groups, etc., all backed Wakefield, and I just had this feeling that the Rhinos would do the job now. Is it clear to see that there's a pattern developing here? Because I can speak from experience here, because a few years back when Rovers got promoted back to the Super League, they had a couple of stabilising seasons, and it maybe took 3 years to get to where Wakefield are now of losing big games to come back and then win the lot last year. Now everybody's been singing the praises of Wakefield, and rightly so, but they're still yet to prove herself in big intensity games.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that game a drop off, because obviously they were there right until the wire. You know what I mean? It was a big lit effort from was it Hankinson that scored the last try?
Yeah, Hankinson. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of them that could have been touch and go with who grounded it. So
yeah.
Obviously the right decision was made in the end, but yeah, I don't think they're gonna have a problem this week, if I'm going to be completely honest.
I say that game for me, it weren't do or die for Wakefield. It would probably do or die for Rhinos if they're trying to get that leader shield at least. Obviously that keeps that going. But obviously Wakefield, I think they're in that element now where they're in a. I think saying false position is probably not the right word to say, but what I'm trying to get at is you've got Wigan, you've got Warrington, you've got Rovers, you've got even Lee coming behind them to try and take that second spot off them, or third spot. I think Wigan have gone second now, haven't they? But for them to stay where they are, they've got to beat the big boys, haven't they? And obviously that'll kind of show the character in next 5 games. So
I get where Carl's coming from. I think you do need to face those tough losses like they did there, with 2 points in it and scoring at the end. So
I'll say Lee have done it, haven't they? Lee did it in the back-to-back semi-final losses with Wigan. So, but just
be intriguing, won't it? I mean, I believe Wakefield have got to go to the Brick community in the next couple of weeks. So again, another game where the intensity levels are going to rise, and it'll be very similar to a playoff game. And Jordan Toes is absolutely bang on with the statement that I made a minute ago in terms of being battle strength, being battle hard, because this stage of the season now you need to be coming through them games, and hopefully Wakefield can, because I want to see something different lift that trophy at the end of the season yet again. We'll move on to the last game on Friday night, fellas, because we've still got quite a bit to cover. This one is going to be so short and sweet because as much as it was my team, to be honest, I want a great lot to see, and that's no disrespect to anybody that took the field for the Castleford Tigers. 44-0 hammering. It was close-ish for the first half, and then second half, the champions just put the foot on the gas and took the game away from Castleford. And now, I don't want to sound respectful, Gaz, here, but I think Castleford could have played disrespectful, sorry. I think Castleford could have played to midnight and still not have scored a try.
Yeah, it's epitomising their season, isn't it? Because they'll turn up and give a team a good game or hammer them like they did to us, and then the week after they get absolutely swept away. So you don't know which one you're going to get, do you?
No. I mean, Tyrone May, Jeslett, and the normal culprits for the Robins, absolutely spot on. But like I say, Castleford didn't really pressurise Robins at any stage, really. The few chances they did get at the Rovers line, the bed unforced errors, which is, it's never great for a coach. I mean, we know what's going on at Castleford, don't we?
Sorry, Carl. Am I right to thinking that you're the only one out of me and Gaz that's beaten Cass? So correct. we've lost to Cass, haven't we? Both of us.
Correct. But in saying that, mate, if Rhinos go on and win the lot at the end of the season, nobody's going to go, oh, look, nobody bothered, are they?
Yeah, but they lost to Castleford.
Nobody's absolutely, but nobody's going to go back and think, oh yeah, well, we got beat by Cass, but we've just won Super League. So yeah, I get your point, but I'd be more happy with silverware than a win at the Jungle. Or sorry, the One Ball as it's called now. Just on the Ryan Carr thing, Jordan. So I mean, there's some serious funny goings on at these places at the minute, especially Castleford Tigers. Do you think that's had an effect on the team and its preparation?
The one thing you want is your head coach staying in place, isn't it? You want a bit of consistency when everything else isn't going for you. You've got players injured all over the place. You've been really struggling. The one thing you think you can count on is your coach staying there, and to do the press conference and then be announced half an hour later that he's not going to be in charge for the weekend. It just smacks of, wow, what is going on? I know one or two people at Castleford, and I haven't spoken to anyone, but you're just thinking, wow, what's going on there? And they've so up and down this season. They've been truly awful the couple of times they've played Wakefield as an example. I mean, they were awful. They were absolutely awful at Magic, and then obviously they're round a couple of weeks later as well. But then they've gone to Wigan this year and won. They beat the Rhinos late on. If you're a Castleford fan, you must have no hair left, because you must have ripped it all out by now. Just in what is going on with this side, and I seen Matt Shaw's tweets over the Friday night in terms of what the atmosphere was like, and it just who was it that was it Dupree as well going into the stands after the game, standing with the fans after the game. It just smacks of something really not right there at the moment. And obviously this Ryan Carr thing as well is just it's come from left field, hasn't it? And everyone thought he might have got disciplined, obviously, for them shouts on Sky a few weeks earlier. And it just seems to whatever's going on at the Tigers at the moment, it just doesn't. Something isn't right, and fans are going to want to know more, and they're going to want to know more sooner rather than later.
Do we know what's happened?
I know. Yeah, well, you can speculate as much as you want.
Pending disciplinary, isn't it, from internal investigation or whatever you want to call it?
I think there's been some disagreements within the coaching staff. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I've
we're just speculating.
But
when you're having to bring Adrian Valls into the coaching staff, and when he was visiting, that, do you know what I mean? When you're having to drag Danny Brough out. And I know I've seen a few people say, well, Danny's been at most games this season. Yeah, he probably has. He's a local lad. He'll probably go and watch them. But when you're having to drag in Danny Brough and Adrian Vowles, he's over visiting the country, and all of a sudden he's in the coaches box on a Friday night against OKR. Wow. That smacks of, we haven't planned for this. Something's gone on. Whatever it is, something's gone on that they weren't planning for.
I think what it is the that's the main concern. Obviously, I know we're speculating here, but he was brought in, wanted to sort them out.
Yeah,
he was the one who were going to sort out the damaged side, attendance, all that stuff, trying to get them, reinvent them basically. As we know with the black and whites, that's not an overnight thing either. But like I've said, there's a lot of teams in that bottom half that are struggling, not just Cass. So in a way, if you're a Cass fan, I wouldn't think you're too bothered, if that makes sense, because you're not the only team. There's a good 4-5 teams down there that are really struggling. But yeah, I think like I say, the fact that they brought him in to sort it out, and then obviously that's going on. You kind of like Jordan was saying, if you're a Cass fan, you probably will have lost your air because you don't know what's going on with your team. You probably got this coach, who's thinking, right, we're finally going to sort something out, get players sorted, get some signings maybe, start building for next year. At this point now, you're probably thinking about next year. And obviously that's a worry, isn't it? Because if you don't know what's happening with your coach.
Do you know what I keep thinking, Gaz? And I keep thinking this, and maybe it's me overthinking things, right? At the minute, there's these so-called conversations going on between, the Super League and then in the NRL and all that type of stuff. Now, if you're looking at investing in, a certain amount into a certain, even if it's a different product in the world or a different industry, and you're seeing this uproar from club to club and people not financially stable and what's going on with Huddersfield and their ground share, I don't want to be the negative guy in the room here, but they must be looking out, in from the outside thinking, well, I don't like the look of that. I don't like the look of this. This don't look very professional. It's not a great look on the game as a whole, is it?
No. And like you say, they're going to turn up, they're going to go, right, that club's a mess, that club's a mess, that one's all right, that one's a mess. And it's just... And another one that's got me as well, we've got 3 Thursday night games this week. I mean, look at that. They're going to look on TV and see empty stadiums and go, what happened to these so-called English fans? You know what I mean? It's
well, just hold the thought for that one. We'll get around to that in news round.
All right.
Saturday's games, fellas. Bradford 4, the Warrington Wolves 42. I mean, this was pretty much a very routine win for the Weir Gaz, wasn't it? I mean, we know Bradford are shot at the moment with the amount of bodies they've got missing, but it's difficult, isn't it? Because we keep saying they're turning up, they're having a go, they're having a crack, but it must be like running in quicksand at the moment.
Yeah, it is for them. And hey, listen, it's the first season back. You know what I mean? They've already made some signs for next season. As in Cam Scotty's coming in, friend of the podcast, by the way. Yeah, end of the day, it's the first season back in Super League after 12 years. It's gonna. They've had a massive rebuild, basically from the ground up. It's remarkable that they're in the position that they are now, and I don't think they've shamed themselves whatsoever. I think obviously they're losing games now, but with the amount of players missing, it's inevitable, isn't it?
Yeah. One word that stands out for me in terms of the Bradford Bulls is resilience, because that's what they are. They're resilient at the moment, and they're just keeping going. Jordan 2, just a quick word on the Weir, mate. It was pretty much, like I said a second ago, a routine win, and you'd expect them to put them points on, the players that they're playing against, with all due respect.
Yeah, probably so. But I mean, the Weir's been struggling as well recently. Obviously, last few weeks have started to get back into it. They've been struggling. But I was listening to the Radio Merseyside commentary of the game on my way back from covering the other shit ball on Saturday. And I think Bradford might have been, by the sounds of it, and this is just the sounds of it, obviously I'm purely going off the commentary, that Bradford might got 1 or 2 decisions that didn't quite go their way, and then there was that they might have expected, and then sort of Warrington capitalised on the back of that. So I mean, if Bradford get the other decision and they're able to capitalise, it might be a completely different game. But it's all these buts and maybes Warrington took their opportunities. Bradford weren't able to take them. There may be limited ones that come above them, and they're now starting to challenge for the rest of the season. They're looking for that second place with Trim potentially faltering. As we've discussed, are they going to falter in the recent weeks? They're going to be one of them that's going to try and push up there, aren't they? And try and lift that silverware for the first time in a long, long time. But going back to the performance, you'd expect a Warrington side to do that against a depleted Bradford side.
No, definitely. Another game on Saturday. The R5 kickoff was the Warrington, the Wigan Warriors 48, Toulouse Olympic 18. I mean, pretty much routine at the minute. Very similar to what we said about the Weir. To be fair, I keep thinking that Wigan are still in maybe 80% of what they've got at the moment. Field and French on the pitch, doing what they do. Jordan won. I mean, I think we all called this one last week, didn't we? That we all expected a Wigan Warriors win, mate, and that's exactly what we got.
Yeah, this is thing though. I watched best part of that game, and Toulouse should have done more. They had a lot of possession in their last 20 meters, 10 meters line, whichever it was, and it just showed you the abilities they've got in defence. It's Wigan at the end of the day. Like we've always said, I think everybody don't like Wigan. I can't stand Wigan, and it's mainly because they know how to win games. Do you know what I mean? There were a long time ago that I felt like that about St Helens. When I were a young lad, but Wigan are just that team that they never go away. They might have bad stints in the season where they might fall off, and I think every team has that. But I think when you're looking at the side and they're putting Eckersley in the centres, and they're putting Hodkinson on, and the Marshall, and they're finding a way how to adjust the side to put players in because all these players are too good to be sat on bench. It just blows my mind. And then they go out there and play like they've played together for 20 years, 10 to 15 years, something like that. And they're so confident. These young boys are so confident, and it's scary because, we're seeing flashes like with Saints this year, your Robertson and your Davis and, players like that. And obviously Humphreys, like I've said to Gaz, they'll benefit from that. Learning those hard lessons. But Wigan, for me, are just different. You've got these people, you just put on a debut and they play like they've played forever, and it's scary because it's, when do you see them slowing? When do you see Wigan have a transitional period where I think, coming from an outside point of view, and you kind of want to see that, because then you kind of think, well, it's fair then, isn't it? Because Saints are going through it. I never thought I'd ever see Saints go through one. Rhinos have been through a few. Warrington have been through a few. Wigan don't seem to have had one, and it's annoying, to be fair, because I'd love to see a season where they don't make playoffs and they don't win trophies. But yeah, they're just Wigan, aren't they? I think that's all I can say on the matter. They're just Wigan. What else do you expect?
Wigan, and we know what we're going to get from them, 90% of the time, don't we? Just a quick one on Toulouse, Jordan. Too, you'd have probably seen the best part of them last few seasons, mate. Are they progressing as you'd expect them to be, or they're a little bit off at the moment, do you think?
I think they're exactly where they'll want to be. Really unlucky not to stay in the division first time rounds. Been to the south of France twice. Unfortunately, we got sent there in February and March, so not quite the hot summer's evenings that you want when you get there. Thanks to the RFL for that one. But yeah, no, I think Sylvain Hules and his side and everyone connected with Olympique will be really, really happy with where they're at the moment. And I listened to a little bit of that game before switching over to Warrington Bradford. And it sounded like Toulouse were right in it. That opening 40 minutes, they'd give Wigan a big scare. Shifted some players around. Did that upset them in the early stages? Maybe, but to go to Wigan and put in a performance in, especially a 40-minute performance like that, where you probably should have been going in half time at lead. I think Toulouse would be really happy and really comfortable with where they are at the moment. And if it's all sorted for them to get a further nearly $750,000 next season, in central funding, and bear in mind this club are also still having to fund everyone to go over. They're still having to fund all the players to go over, the hotels, the staff, and everything to go over. They're having to fund that as well. I think Toulouse are really, really comfortable with where they are at the moment. And could they do with a few more people coming in with that stadium in Toulouse? Yeah, probably, but I think if you can carry on and get building more and more, if they can stay in this division, which you really want them to, because we need a presence, we need a French presence, we need a European presence in this so-called European Super League. If you want to keep him in there and they can start building that presence, they'll hopefully be a force. And you never know, you might see them lift a trophy or two, like Catalan were able to do a few years ago as well.
Hopefully so, mate.
I'll tell you what, Carl, it's nice to have a professional on here, isn't it? God knows we're not.
That's why he's professionally paid and we're not. Parking that game up then. So the last game of Saturday, Huddersfield 42, the Catalan Dragons 20. I mean, we're seeing a little bit of improvement from the Giants, Gaz, and probably a downhill spiral for the Dragons.
Yeah, and Joe, I can see Huddersfield winning again this week. But it's weird what's going on with Catalan. I mean, he can turn up like again the same as it's a bit like Casford, really, aren't they? They'll turn up, give someone a game, pull off an upset, and then get trounced the week after. It's really weird, really inconsistent from them.
I think what's happened in terms of the Giants, Jordan, one is that they seem to have the same people on the paddock the last few weeks in the same positions. George Flanagan Jr. he's playing and he kicked most of his goals at the weekend. George King's coming on and doing a decent stint. Wolford's on the pitch more often, not creating space for people and all the rest of it. So you are seeing a bit of fluidity and a bit of gelling going on. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they're getting a few wins under the belts now.
No, it's been coming. It has been coming. Like I think I've said a few weeks back that I think when the pressure's off, and like I say, not disrespectful to say when you're not expected to win or do anything. It's what I mean is, they're still building. They've been bottom. I think they've been bottom at table since beginning of Super League, haven't they? This year, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if they've moved from where they've been. But we're going to get there at one point. Like we've touched on before. I think it was when Robinson left or we let go and Finn took over. I think they won the 3 in a row, didn't they? And then they went a bit off shape again. But yeah, it's one of those. It's one of them. You stick to a position with your players. Everybody knows where they're playing. You're keeping your players fit, which is the most important thing. And you just play off that, don't you? And the formulas come from there. You're not forcing out too much. Everybody knows where they are. I think that's why I admire Saints so much this year, because they've not had the luck and they've not had a choice in the matter where they've been putting players. I think that's why the spines with Saints have struggled, because they don't know who plays where, because they've got that many different people in different areas. But I think with Huddersfield, they know they've just got to play, and I think the performance has naturally just gone there, and hopefully they can add some players next year. Move that stadium to, is it Dewsbury that they're doing?
Yeah,
and start building again. But like I've said, it's not the only team. There's Castleford, Huddersfield, Catalans even. There's a few teams, 4 or 5 teams in there that need a bit of a rebuild. Hull FC all need a rebuild next year. And let's put it that way, none of them can have a bad season again like they have this year. They've all got to improve. So it makes it all good for competitiveness, doesn't it, for the league?
And I'm going to sound like a broken record here, Jordan, too, because I've been trying to make a case for Catalan all season. They're going to come good at some point. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. Now, with the quality they've got, individual quality, granted, the likes of Charlie Staines, Toby Sexton, Tommy Makinson, Fatape, they've got strike all over the park, but they're so inconsistent, mate. What do you put your What's your thoughts on that, and what do you put it down to?
Everyone seems to go to the south of France for a holiday. That's what it seems to be, doesn't it? They've got, as you mentioned, they've got strike all over the park. They've got, you've got Sexton and Dodd as your halves, and you've been able to bring the likes of Cruz Lehman off the bench. Cruz Lehman must be thinking, what's he done wrong going from Wigan to Catalan? And obviously, I know there was a bit more going on to that, but you know what I mean. You were at Wigan and in that environment at Wigan, then you go down to the south of France, and I don't know. I think Catalan, Toulouse are doing what Catalan first started with. They're building. Ever since the first come into the competition 20 years ago, and Catalan just seems to have gone away from that in recent years. They seem to be wanting to sign Aussies left, right, and centre, or Kiwis left, right, and centre, or people are going down there for a holiday. And you know what? It worked in terms of bringing in players maybe towards the end of the career. The likes of Sam Tompkins, he went down there, had a great spell down in the south of France, didn't he? But you know what I mean. And
unfortunately, he did.
Yes, sorry guys. I seem to be just ripping Saints tonight. I don't mean to be doing it at all.
Listen, but, I do it enough myself.
But yeah, do you know what I mean? Like they just seem to have gone away from that in the last few seasons. I think what the Dragons need is they need a French core, and that might be a little bit more difficult now with Toulouse being there. They haven't just got the pick of who they want from that, and being able to sprinkle then a few English players in, a few from down under, and yet again, that's just something that needs a rebuild. Does Cartwright stay? Probably not. I mean, it sounds like he's going to, but is he your long-term answer? Is he the long-term? Probably similar to. But
I feel a bit hard on. Feel sorry for him a little bit, because I think when you Cartwright, you're signing for Hull FC. That's very much like with cast coaching it, where it's a project. It's not a overnight thing. You're there to build the team up again, and then he gets let go, and then he's gone to Catalans, and it's like if he wouldn't have known that. Making that signing for Hull FC, you won't have known that you're not staying, mate. You're going to south of France. You kind of all your plans and that kind of sizzle away, don't they? So I do agree with you. It is a bit of an odd one for me. But then it's Catalans, isn't it? It's the nice weather, in it. It's where all Aussies come over, in it. So there's that as well. He might like that idea of maybe bringing some Aussies over next year.
I think the overriding emotion with it all, and I think we're all in agreement, is that they never built for the long term, Catalan, or if they have built for the long term, it's been a long time ago. It's always a season at a time. And I think, to be fair to Gaz, he says it quite frequently that when they do sign these players, it's only for a 1 or 2 year deal, isn't it? And that's I think
that shows
how many halfbacks have they been through.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that shows with Catalans, though. Because, like you say, the chop and change, the halves, the chop and change, the forwards, there's no gradual, or there's no consistency with them, because they're losing players
every time.
That's what I mean. It's short term, isn't it? And it's like, you're not building for anything.
That's it. So that is round 22 done and dusted. Jordan, pull that table up, mate. And we all know you're still top of the shop, so at least give us half a smile, eh?
Yeah.
Rhinos top of the shop with 36 points. The Giants still at the bottom, but obviously tucked just below the Bradford Bulls and Hull FC on 12 points respectively. Leah in the playoffs, Hull KR in the playoffs, both on 28 points. Saints, that gap now is 4 points between them and the playoff position.
You know what, Gal?
Obviously,
I spent 2 games laughing at the fact that Lee beat Warrington, and I'm ruining it now.
Well, that's what normally happens, mate. We make comments, and Jordan will be the first to tell you. You'll make a comment, and it'll bite you in the ass 2 minutes later. I'm pretty sure that's the case in any sport, isn't it? So that's a live ladder, Jordan. I believe you've done some work on this week's team of the week, mate. So show us what you've got, and we'll see if we're in agreement with any of it.
Right. Well, this is my new and improved team of the week. There's a lot of changes in this, so let's have a look. Hopefully I've done good.
tries galore. We rake the very best on the floor, from fullback deep to the front row pride. Here's who stood out side by side. Jordan's team of the week. Pick the stars, the strongest league's finest. Here and now, no debate. Take a bow.
I'll tell you what, Jordan, you're going to have to start your own podcast with this team of the week. 'Cause it's getting longer every week. The video.
You can't rush perfection, guys. That's what the as the old saying
You
goes.
can't rush
Ah,
perfection.
good point.
I know you said, Jordan, you put a poll out in the WhatsApp group, didn't you, for your number 7? Jake Connor was clearly the winner of that, mate. But prior to that, who was the first on that team sheet?
It was Sinfield. I'll be honest, it was Sinfield. And it was one of those things where I didn't want to seem biased also, but I also, like I've said previously, I want to reward people who maybe don't usually get the thought of being in team at week.
Yeah.
And it, ideally, if you're going off form or whatever, most are probably Rhinos players, but it's not the case in my eyes. I thought Sinfield stole the show for me, but I were kind of holding on for Connor, so it were like, do you know what? I'll give a poll and I'll see what people think. And if someone would have said Sinfield, all would have said Sinfield, because to be fair, I did vote and I did say Sinfield. So if everyone would have gone Sinfield, obviously I'd have done him. But I just thought it was somewhat better engaging with the fans and something that I'll probably do going forward.
Yeah. Gazzo would change him, mate, if it was your team.
To be honest, can't really argue, can you? I think I would have put James Bell in there. Thought he gave us a lot of problems from what I've seen, but yeah, no, fair play on that one, Jordan.
What's I want to have KARLS input on my AI skills.
What, in the new jerseys?
And the players.
Yeah, it's passable, mate. I'll fair play to you. You put a bit of time.
Passable.
Possible, mate. I spent about 2 hours.
We can't complain too much,
on that.
can we? Well, I know you've been off for 2 weeks, so you have put a bit of time in. Fair play to you, Jordan. Number 2, mate. Who are you changing out of that 13, mate, and why? If you are changing anybody.
I don't think I am. From what I've seen, and like you say, it's only a handful of games I've seen this weekend and listened to a couple. I don't think I am. I think, like you say, you probably is your argument at 7 with Sinfield and Connor. Sinfield's been going great for training this year. So, I mean, there was a couple of errors maybe in the last minutes they were trying to get back into it on Friday night. And I'm being really nitpicky there if I'm saying that. But yeah, I think your biggest challenge was probably, who you're going to pick at 7, and Jake Connor. Both of them's had a fantastic season. I think Connor, just edges it for me. So I don't think out of that, I don't think I'm making any changes, to be honest.
No, that's fair enough. I'd have changed Sinfield. I thought Connor didn't do a right lot in the first half, to be honest with you, but it's each to their own, isn't it? So I can understand.
I think any of them did, though. That's the thing. I think he for me, he got it more the fact that he kind of got us back in the game. I think that's the quality of the player, isn't it?
Yeah, and I also think with Sinfield now, he's being given that platform to perform on each week. His short kicking game was decent on Friday night, and he's been given that freedom to go and express himself under Dowell Powell. Where he's been in Rhinos before, he's been having a little game here and a little game there, and not really got a consecutive back-to-back games in a row, has he?
I'll tell you what. I'm sure Kev will have been mega proud of him that night, because I know he watched him, obviously. You can't fault him, can you? He'll have been so proud of that performance, because he didn't lose that game for him, did he? Do you know what I mean? I know it were a kind of a 50-50 call on the game itself in the end, to be fair, but he didn't cause an error where they were going to lose the game from that. So in my eyes, he did, everything he could possibly do, and more. So for me, he were outstanding in that game.
And that's it.
That's
That's
it.
fair enough.
The result of that game, it came down to that, didn't it?
Yeah, it
in
did.
the end.
Yeah,
Fine
it did, yeah.
margins. Totally agree. Fine margins. We've gone from giving the team accolades out, Gaz, haven't we? So we're going to give an individual accolade out now with your try of the week.
Yeah, and before we go into it, I'm going to give an honourable mention to Cam Smith. I thought his try was fantastic, and John Bennison's third try in the corner. But this is the selection.
Litton waits just behind him, and this is where he loves to scamper away. Defenders going for it himself all the way here. Litton, oh, that's tremendous.
Take a bow.
That's absolutely brilliant from Jez Litton. We spoke beforehand about what a key player he is for Hull Kingston Rovers, and he's illustrated that superbly.
Brilliant try. That's just outstanding play, Fraser, isn't it? Individual brilliance from Jez Litton.
Yeah, as Baz said, it's eyes up rugby. It's playing off the cuff. You know, he's made a scoot from dummy half. He's in the gap to kick through, and he's backed himself. So
that's what I mean. I think that's
brilliant. Try that.
Obviously, one of the reasons why he was in my team at week, but that's just the quality that Litton is. You know what I mean? He backs himself. That's what makes him such a good hooker. He never clocks off, does he?
That's it. Any you three have any? Would you change that for anyone else, or would you stick with Litton?
I'd have gone with that anyway, because I think it deserves it for the individual.
I liked the Bevan French kick for Field. I thought that were a good try. That just because of them two, to be fair. The in sync of both of them.
No, that's it.
Jordan too.
I was just about to say, Jordan, so have you got anything that would sort of match that try, or anything you'd change it for?
No, I think, like you say, you mentioned, great, fantastic looking up there from Litton. He's just starting to come back into it, is Litton. You know, I mean, obviously, KARLS had a bit of a drop off, Carl, you'll probably say, since that World Club Challenge, and they're just starting to get back into it now, aren't they? And they're sort of doing what Wigan's done over the years. They haven't quite been their best at times throughout the campaign, but we're getting to the business end of the season now, and they're just starting to pick up, and Litton's going to be a big part of that. And, you know, him and Brad O'Neill's going to be shaping it out for that England number 9 jersey at the end of the season as well, aren't they? So, yeah, Litton will be wanting to start doing that. So, yeah, I mean, that was the first time I've seen that, but that's a very good try there from Jez Litton.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I mean, moving on to our next segment, before we run the video, a lot of people, my player of the week, a lot of people think, oh yeah, it's an individual, it's a Jake Connor or a Bevan French or a Jai Field. Well, I'm going to shock a lot of people now, and I'll tell you the reasons after. So, my player of the week, Jordan, is drum roll.
In this set. Oh, Batter's got some space here. Brilliant from Hingano. And he's brought down well by Armstrong. He was nearly through. Oh, last one, the space! And there's more than space! There's a try for John Bennison. It was all made brilliantly initially by the break from Hingano, and they caught Lee Cole. They went the short side, and John Bennison so good again. 4 rounds ago, I rang him up. He literally couldn't speak. Rang him for the teams and for a chat. He's got had a bad abscess, but it's all sorted. All's well in the world at the moment for the coach, and especially after that try. Now, what about this from John Bennison? 14 points, a try and 5 goals in the win over Saints. A try already tonight. That is a beauty off the touchline. D is on. Long looping pass to Bennison from the corner. And they've got another. They've got the try. And Bennison has got another. And York are right back in this game. They go the short side with Williams. Knocks off the challenge of Hanley. Bennison! That could be a fabulous try for John Bennison! A hat-trick for John Bennison! Wow!
He finds the kick. I weren't sure whether that was the right call at the time, but they get the ball back, and from the scrum, just a little bit of tempo, takes Hanley on the outside, finds a handoff to create that space, and then tips it on to Bennison just at the right time. Look at that.
I can only imagine what it's like to have John Bennison in your team. Oh, hang on a
I
minute.
knew you was going to say that. I haven't done that to rub it in, by the way, Gaz.
No, listen, you're absolutely spot on. And Joe, I'm happy to see the lad doing well. He was always professional at saying he never moaned about not playing. And it just goes to show all he needed was some consistent game time. And now look at him, he's flying. Fair play to him.
Yeah, I know. Like I said before, we ran the VT that it's the easiest thing in the world to give it to a Bevan French or a half who's created a couple of tries, etc. But John Bennison, hat trick, kicked a lot of his goals, did the tough stuff as well, bringing it out of backfield, and I believe that's only his second hat trick of his career. One for the York Knights and one for St Helens.
It's his first Super League one.
Yeah. So I mean, credit where it's due. It's not always the flashy names and the big earners who get the credit. That is for sure. So that was the good of the week.
As well, Carl, that third try is one of the honourable mentions for me try of the week as well. I nearly went with that one.
Yeah, I can see why, mate. That is for sure. So that is all the good parts of the week, Jordan. The next one, not so good, Gaz, for your Bad Lads Corner.
Another revamp.
Oh, here we go.
AI all over the shop.
Get ready for Ross Kemp.
Reach on trees! Rachel bastard!
Oh, Baz is at it again. Look at him. And Steph.
I tell you what, Gaz, I always thought when somebody did some AI work, it would normally be an improvement. It looks like you're either on steroids or you put about 4 stone on since last week.
I've been listen. The way my team are playing at the minute, I'm having to comfort eat.
Well, yeah, that's a great explanation. That is for sure. So, yeah.
Right, let's get over to it then. So quite a few of them here. Liam on, grade B, dangerous contacts, 3 penalty points and a fine. Harvey Barron, grade B, other contrary behaviour, 3 penalty points and a fine. I didn't see what happened there, if I'm going to be honest, so I'm going to have to trust him on that. Liam Byrne, grade B, head contacts, 3 penalty points and a fine. Surprise, surprise, James Bentley, grade A, late contact on kicker, 1 penalty point and a fine. Alex Da Costa, grade B, late contact on passer, 3 penalty points and a fine. Patrick Maria. Oh my word. That's a good one. Grade E, shoulder charge, 18 penalty points and a 4-match suspension. Nick Cottrich, grade A, late contact on passer, 1 penalty point and a fine. As Basil likes to call him, Jesse Sue. Grade A, late contact on passer, 1 penalty point and a fine. Kaylee Hamim-Ueli, grade A, late contact on passer, 1 penalty point and no further action. Every week it's dominated by late contacts, and I think it's getting ridiculous now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Presley Cassell, grade B, trip, 3 penalty points and a fine. Anthony Marion, grade A, dangerous throw / lift, 1 penalty point, no further action. Brad O'Neill, grade C, dangerous throw or lift, 5 penalty points and a 1-match suspension. And Sam Walters, grade B, other contrary behaviour, 3 penalty points and a 3-match suspension and a fine.
Well,
Ross Kemp on kick.
We have this running joke, Jordan, that the RFL are trying to build the kitty up for Christmas, so that's like our little in-house podcast joke. My question to you, mate, is: will BBC Radio Cumbria have their kitty float for the end of the season night out? And if so, what are the fines for doing what?
No and no, unfortunately not. Sort of with that, I mean, me and Dan, the other Barrow commentator, we did have a little bit of a Cumbrian podcast, but we started in the off season, which was probably never a great idea. So once the season come along, we got quite bored of it. So, but we did have a night out on that. We were going to go. I went down to Barrow first weekend of January. That was a bleak place to be. And we were going to go down. Whitehaven were meant to be playing Barrow in pre-season. Before we'll go down, we'll have a night out on the Saturday, and then we'll go and watch the game on the Sunday. We did. We had our night out. Went back to my hotel room. Snow just started coming down. I thought, I'll be all right. Bit of snow on the ground tomorrow. Woke up 8 o'clock in the morning. Craven Park, absolutely covered in snow. Made the 50-mile journey down to Barrow for absolutely nothing because the game got called off. So while we don't have an end of season night out in Radio Cumbria, we did have a podcast night out, and it ended up with a game being called off and a 2-hour journey back to Whitehaven, driving about 20 mile an hour, slipping on the main roads. Fantastic.
And we have our regular in Bad Lads Corner in Super League. They're normally the likes of James Bentley, etc. The people that are in the fines every single week. Is there anybody in the Championship where you think, I'm sick of seeing his name when it's up to the judiciary?
Championship isn't as much sort of broadcast as it used to be. It used to be able to go on the RFL website and find it all, but they seem to have put it behind closed doors these days. But so I mean, there's always the names in there. I mean, Danny Langtree seems to have come up a lot when he was playing, and there's players that come in there, and then I think you were mentioning there about passes on late contact on passes. I think we need to remember we are a contact sport, and don't get me wrong, if it's a late challenge, it's a late challenge, and believe me, you'll know it's a late challenge because that man will stop down. But where these ones where they've just let go of the pass, and don't get me wrong, I know they've had the lawsuits and everything that's been going on with it, and that seems to have died down. So they're trying to do everything they can, but this is a contact sport. We need to remember that we don't need to be penalising every sort of contact that might be a millisecond late. Absolutely, Dame Manning was a bad one, and actually, you mentioned it. He was one that would seem to be up most weeks. The Batley back row, a tall figure man. He looks about 7'9". He's Dame Manning, but he was the one that was quite up quite often. Yeah, absolutely.
No, that is it. That is Bad Lads Corner out the way. The next segment, fellas, we've been running a debate question. So any of the fans get involved, I reach out to somebody in the rugby league family group, and they ask, is the what you call it, for you to send us a clip and a debate we discuss on the podcast. This week's debate question, the Roses debate question, is from Steph, and she's a Hull KR supporter.
Hello everyone, I'm Steph. I'm the host of the Ladies Tackle Talk podcast. I've been very kindly asked to provide the question for this week's Roses debate for the Two Yorkshire for a Saint podcast. So, the 2026 season, it was announced that the game needed to be quicker and cleaner, and this resulted in a faster ruck speed and the players unloading the tackles much quicker than before. Tackling technique was also adjusted to try and prevent any further unnecessary head knocks, which meant lower wrapping in the tackles. And we have seen an exponential increase in player injuries this season. So my question to you is, do you think that the changes in the ruck speed and the increased speed of the game and the pressure on the players has contributed to the further injuries that we've seen this season?
%100% agree.
Yes, absolutely.
This
isn't a debate.
There briefly, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think it's a stonewall.
Still this for Steph.
Yeah, I think it's a stonewall comment. I mean, you touched on it a minute ago, Jordan, didn't you? About we've still got to realise it's a contact sport, but what she's saying is 100% correct, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm all for fast-flowing rugby league, but not artificial fast-flowing rugby league. I think 6 again was one of the worst things that they've brought in. Teams would much rather have a penalty and the opportunity to boot the ball 40 yards down the field. You know, especially when teams are coming out of yardage, and they're quite happy to give a 6 again on tackle 1, tackle 2. They find themselves quite happy to defend it, and we see it in the Championship as well, week in, week out. And I think with the 6 again, and obviously that is a big part of why the games become faster. I think with the 6 again, I think there's so much inconsistency official to official with it. What they're happy to agree, what they're not happy with, and I think there's probably more consistency with it at a Super League level compared to a Championship level. But I think there's so much inconsistency with what people will give, what they won't give, and I think you can see that on penalty count, 6 again counts. They'll vary wildly from official to official, in my opinion, especially in the Championship. I had a game. Yeah, by my game yesterday, there was 6 penalties in 80 minutes. But then, like a game before, we can have 17, 18 penalties in 80 minutes. You're not telling me that there's 100% more infringements in one game compared to another. And I think going back, but that's just the game at the moment, I think, is too fast, and that's why we're seeing more and more muscle injuries with players. We're loading them up too much, and this is the impact it's going to have.
Yeah,
agree with that, Kaz?
Obviously, and like you say, defenders are making more tackles, which obviously it's not a walkover, it's hard work. You know what I mean? And like, sort of promote myself a little bit, but I interviewed Eddie Hemmings at the weekend, which Jordan is going to be up on the YouTube at some point soon on here. No, just nod and smile, Jordan. Yeah, I didn't want to hear anything. You know what I mean? Britwall, but he said again, listen, he doesn't like the 6 again rule. I think he said it's a big reason why there's so many injuries across the league. Steph, absolutely spot on with that. I'm 100% agree with you. It's a shambles, isn't it?
So on that then, Jordan 1, we're complaining about, before we had the 6 again, about the ruck being too slow. Now we're saying it's too fast. Playing devil's advocate, mate. Which one is it?
Yeah, I know it's very much so like I think Bazza. Yeah, Bazza was saying, like, they just mess around with rules so many times for me. And yeah, there's a lot of everything RFL are doing that I could go on about, all night about. That really boils my blood. But yeah, the 6 again. The 6 again, I hate it. I hate the 6 again. I hate the captain's challenge. I hate both of them with a passion. I think the 6 again, especially for these promoted teams, is burning them out.
Yeah.
I think when you're promoting 3 teams into Super League, and you already think as a neutral, you're thinking, all right, York, Bradford, maybe not Bradford. Bradford obviously have done all right. You're expecting Toulouse and York to get an hiding most weeks. Obviously, they've done really well. All 3 of them have done really well this year. But then you look at it and you're going, why are you potentially going to burn these new promoted teams out where you're supposed to build them up to get them used to the speed of this Super League, this big league that we're trying to make?
You got to give them a chance. That's what you're trying to say.
You've got to give them a chance, yeah. And it's when you've got people like Bevan French, Jai Fields, who literally can run all day. I still think it's hard on them because obviously, it's like that across the board. I think you're burning out every player, but these players are kind of used to it because they can run forever, can't they? But when you've got these promoted teams, the 6 again, like you say, didn't you say, Jordan? Bradford are completely depleted with the side, and I bet 9 times out of 10, I bet most of that's because they're exhausted. And what happens when you get exhausted? You get injuries, don't you? You're clumsy. You make more errors, probably that and it's one of those for me. I think I correct me if I'm wrong. I might be a bit over exaggerating here, but the 6 again for me is a health issue. And I don't know whether that's me being over dramatic with that, but what I mean by that,
what you're saying, because that comes down to your strength and conditioning coaching.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think anyone were prepared for this rule. I think it's just been thrown out, and it's not been. Like when we talk about the captain's challenge, and we say, I know you guys like it, but it needs tweaking. The 6 again needs tweaking for me, and like Jordan was saying, there's a lot of times where it's easy for refs to just kind of, level penalty count out and go, right, 6 again. And it's not good. It's not good for the sport. It's not good for a team to be, defending their own try line for six again in the last 2 minutes at game, and they're just completely getting hammered.
Jordan, like you watch any NRL game, right? The ruck speed is rapid, and they're never being called offside. Discipline. It's cop out on clubs putting discipline into the defence. We're massively guilty of it. We're giving penalties away like nothing, like let them go out of fashion. But you sort out your defence. You need to get back 10, be ready for this next tackle instead of arsing around laying on the ruck or taking your time getting back. No, and that does come down to fitness at the end of the day. That's your conditioning coaching, and I think they need to tighten that up across the league.
Yeah.
No, it's a fair comment and a fair debate. So again, thank you to Steph for her questions / statement, because I think it's pretty unanimous what the answer was.
First time it's been unanimous, isn't it?
Yeah, and obviously we'll keep running the Roses debate question on a weekly basis. So stay on your toes, because I'll be reaching out to somebody else next week, and hopefully they can get a good debate question on the go. From the Roses debate, Jordan, to AI Carl and his news round. I don't believe I've had any upgrades this week, so I'm happy with that.
No, you said no, so
you don't tell Carl no.
Scrolling through the headlines quick. Stats in his head, he's picking up the pics from the terrace. Talk to the training ground. It all kicks off in KARLS news round. We're talking rugby league all night. To Yorkshire and a mic under floodlit skies. From the hard hits, heartbreaks, golden tries. We laugh, we shout, we argue, we're alive. Say rugby league.
Gotta say, I'm not happy about this. So Carl's got himself, and I've got bloody Grant Mitchell. Come on, Jordan. Help me out, will you? And you've even took me tattoos off me, for Christ's sake. Come on.
I never thought about it like that. Yeah, you were probably doing a bit of injustice there for him, Jordan, to be fair.
Well, I went for a Batman Bane sort of look for him, full of steroids, and it did go a bit over.
Right. I'm going on strike here. You're accusing me of being on steroids. I've had Baz accused me of being on bloody cocaine.
Ross McDouble.
I'm eating a lot of cake, according to Steph. I've had enough.
It's all about growing the love, sharing the love. That's what I like about it all. We have our serious bits, and then we have our bits like this.
Accusations coming up my arse here.
That's what makes the podcast so special to everybody watching. Let's get on with this, because I've got a fair bit to get through. Obviously, the weekend it was announced that Super League will be going to Dublin, Wigan versus Warrington as the headline, and then obviously St. Helens and Hull FC. Guys, my question to you is, mate, have you booked your tickets?
Not yet. I'm waiting for the packages, because I usually go with what's called the Jared Coaches, which is one of the pubs in St. Helens. They organise all like Catalan, Toulouse, and away games, finals, and all that. So I'm waiting for that to come around for that package.
Yeah. And Jordan, too, this can only benefit the Super League, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a long time coming, us getting over to Ireland. We've been pretty much everywhere else, haven't we? We've been obviously with France, and then we've played in Barcelona. And I think there's been talk about Dublin for a long, long time. And the only thing I was probably to think, why are you announcing 2 games separately? Why aren't the 4 clubs together announcing that, when they obviously Wigan and Warrington fans had the opportunity to try and get cheapish flights before everyone started cottoning on and double that, and then doubling prices, and I've seen prices what would normally be a £40 flight start going up to a £300 flight, and then you then got FC fans and Saints fans that having to scrap around later on. So I think the announcement probably could have done a little bit better. But yeah, absolutely, that we great that we get over to Dublin now and showcase over there the new stadium, or the new redeveloped stadium there that Leinster's put in. Have spent something like 52 million on it, so it should be a cracking facility. 20,000 stadium, so I think, if I remember rightly as well, the capacity, so not too big. So if you get folk in, and you get plenty of people making the trip over, and hopefully plenty of locals as well, both days should be an absolutely cracking atmosphere for it.
No, definitely not. Off the back of one of the interviews Jordan won for the Irish promotion, there was a little bit of conversation going on there with Chris Radlinski, saying that there's been talks of possibly having Magic Weekend at Real Madrid Stadium, the Bernabeu. Now, hey, maybe people are blowing that up a bit too much, but imagine that, if that did come around.
I don't see that being financially stable for anybody, to be fair. I think, yeah, that's just obscene for me. I don't see that. Yeah, fair enough for people who could go over. It's an holiday, ain't it? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's I think you stick to your Toulouse and your Catalans as your getaways for your games in season. On the note of Dublin, I did watch the Gaz's best mate, Matt Shaw, and and Brian Carney. They had the interview with Brian Carney, and Brian Carney actually hates the idea, doesn't he, a Super League going over there. And I kind of watched it, and you kind of understand where he coming from, but it's like we're touring, isn't it? It's like we're touring Super League, and for me, we kind of need to get fans kind of focused on the game, and I think they're trying to promote it too much, if that makes sense.
Is this because Leeds aren't going?
No, but yeah. Do you know what though? As well, I have to say,
Vegas at the beginning of the season. Didn't they?
I have to say though, I hate the fact that why are Wigan and Warrington going? Like they did Vegas, first team to do Vegas,
apparently by the looks of it,
and then the first team to do Dublin, and I'm just like, yeah. For me, why can't you send Wakefield and Castleford? Why can't you send Toulouse and Catalans? Why can't you send Huddersfield and Wakefield? Like,
I'm not a financial director of a club or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure it's feasible for them so-called lesser teams to go rather than two of the big hitters in the Super League. Now, I'd seen Jordan too shaking his head there when I mentioned the Bernabeu and Madrid. Now, people say, don't they? People have been saying for years, the sport needs to grow. We're an M62 corridor sport, blah, 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 blah. Now people are throwing ideas out. They're like, it's not feasible. It's not this, it's not that. So my question, Jordan, too, is which one is it? Are we going to win? Aren't we going to win?
Yeah. One day, playing Magic Weekend at the Bernabeu might be a great idea. Right now, it's beeping awful. It just isn't. It just isn't good right now. It just that is a no-goer, I'd say. Until it's not even like you're getting a Catalan influence, like a Perpion influence with that. Obviously, going into Barcelona a few years ago, it's an absolute no-go with that, and if it would be absolute, I think, financial suicide for Adult Commercial to take the Magic Weekend over there. Now, just touching on the other fact in terms of why are Wigan and Warrington always going, because they're the ones that are putting the financial risk up for it.
Yep.
They're the ones that've got the money there. They're the ones that's putting the money towards it to ensure it does it. They're the ones that took the risk with Vegas, and the NRL and the Aussie fans absolutely, and the Americans loved it. That's why Leeds and KR were able to do it again this year, and yet again, they absolutely loved it. But it's the trailblazing clubs, the same clubs. Yes, they are the same clubs, and it may get a bit boring, but it's the trailblazing clubs, the likes of Wigan and Warrington, that are happy not to just sit still. They're happy to go on the front foot. They're happy to challenge what it is, and that's why they're getting these sort of trips. That's why Wigan went to Paris. They were happy. That's why Catalan wanted to take Wigan to Paris. That's why the NRL were happy for Wigan and Warrington, first of all, to go to Vegas. They're the ones that's happy to put the front foot forward. They're the ones want to push this game forward. And that's why they're getting the rewarded with the opportunities. Yeah, it might be a bit boring that it's Wigan and Warrington all the time. But I tell you what, you speak many that don't know rugby league, the first teams that will come out their mouths are Wigan or Warrington.
Yeah, no, I get your point there.
I mean, guys,
can I just say on the Bernabeu, the idea is right, because like we say, we want the expansion, we want the game to grow, we want more eyes on it. But if you think that putting rugby league into one of the biggest stadiums in the world and it's going to look good on TV, no, it's like we couldn't fill Neil Dickinson, right, which is 50,000. you're doubling that with the Bernabeu. That's double the amount of empty seats. It is going to look atrocious.
It is, and I'll counteract that. What you're saying there is, and I agree to an extent.
Got a smaller stadium over there if you want to. That's fine.
Well, look at Vegas, mate. Those all them teams over there. It still wasn't full. So I get what you're saying in terms of how it looks, but more often than not, most games are a sellout anyway.
Yeah, but I'm being consistent because I don't like Thursday games. I think they look bad on TV. And I think that is just going to look absolutely ridiculous, if I'm going to be honest. I mean, I'm not trying to be negative, but if you want to take the game up to Spain, fine. Go to Seville or something like that. It's still a big name, or Valencia, still a big name in Spain. I just think the Bernabeu is...
I just personally, I just think it's a bad idea because we're not, for me, like, we're not NRL, right? That's worldwide is NRL. Everybody knows NRL. We're not worldwide. I'm sorry, we're not. The reason why we don't have the funds like NRL do. We don't have the camera quality. We don't have the facilities as good as NRL. They're a multi-billion.
We don't have the marketing team either.
You what, sorry?
We don't have the same marketing team either.
No, we don't. And it's, for me, you're forcing an idea that sounds good on paper, but it ain't financially, stable. Like, you're going to get Toulouse and Catalan saying no anyway, because they didn't say, they said no to Magic Weekend. To be fair, no, correct me if I'll retract that, because Catalans probably will want that because it's Spain, innit? They probably will go. So yeah, forget about that. But like, say your lower teams, they're not going to probably want that. It's going to be hard to get fans over. And this is the thing, we're not Super League worldwide for me. People aren't going to, like Gaz says, and I think he's 100% right, that ground will be empty because...
Super League's not even nationwide, never mind.
No, it's not. We get the investors in from NRL. Give it 10 years, 5 or 10 years. Maybe then we can talk about it.
I'm going to go right against the grain of all three of you. Yeah, it's probably not financially feasible. It's probably not going to happen right now. But if you don't have any hope, what's the point?
Oh yeah, I get that. I mean, it's a good selling point. People want to go in the Bernabeu. I was thinking, like you said, now's not the right time.
Forget about crowds. Forget about the financial side of it. You just got to support it, because we all complained. Well, we've all done it for years and years and years. We don't do out of our game. We don't expand it. We don't do this. We don't do that. Now, what they're trying to do with this Bernabeu probably is a little bit not achievable at the moment. I get that, but you've got to have something to aim for, haven't you? I mean,
and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I just don't think that's a good idea. Like, I'm okay with them, expanding and stuff.
I'm doing holiday anyway.
You've got to be, thing is though, you've got to be realistic. You have got to be realistic, and we need to have hopes and we need to have dreams of where it can go and all that stuff. And I'm all for that. I never thought we'd play Super League in Vegas. Do you know what I mean? That was like a big achievement for a sport, but you don't take that and run with it and go, right, we'll do this, we'll do that. Like, you've got to just kind of put brakes on a little bit and go, right, yeah, we've done this. We don't have to go and conquer the world. Like, sometimes you can flop decisions like that. And I don't, that'd be worse for us, is doing something like that, like the Bernabeu like that, and it flopping and, shooting us in foot. And then we look even more of a joke. So, for me,
while we're on the topic of finances, I'll move on to our next topic, because we've still got a fair bit to get through. Huddersfield Giants moving to Dewsbury, and they're allegedly going to spend £10 million on investment. Jordan, too. Now, you'll know that ground very, very well. You'll know the Giants club very well, and Dewsbury. I mean, we'll talk there about investment and blah, 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 and it might not happen now, but is this the right move for the Giants, mate? And is he just throwing money into the middle of the road?
Is it the right move for the Giants to move into a smaller stadium? Yeah, I think it is. I mean, obviously, Dave Woods kept going on at the weekend regarding, look at how many people's here. Yes, Dave, because it was 3. You know what I mean? There's a reason there was nearly 10,000 people there. None of them paid a penny. But then I saw an interesting tweet somewhere. You're not going to get 10,000 people week in, week out if you open the gates for 3. But you're spending 10 million at Dewsbury. with some AI slop. No offense, Jordan, but some AI slop that was used, you know, to promote that. But you're spending 10 million at Dewsbury. You've got, say 6,000 people at £20 a pop that you're missing out on by they're not paying, to £120,000 a game. If you're spending 10 million at Dewsbury, why not just open the gates for 5 seasons? Get more people in it there. If you can afford to spend 10 million at Dewsbury, why not I don't understand why you're going to Dewsbury and then spending 10 million on it. You are not returning. If you are spending 10 million at Dewsbury, you are not returning to Huddersfield anytime soon.
For it. That's the problem.
You are not moving back to Huddersfield anytime soon. And that was the massive note, the massive asterisk for me, that in any of the questions, any releases, there's no plan to get back to Huddersfield. And if you're a Huddersfield fan, you know, this birthplace of rugby league, the game is going to lose the birthplace of rugby league with this. And yes, it's only down the road. Yes, you know, we are on the M62 corridor. We'll all use, you know, many of you guys are. You're all on the M62 corridor where you're all 5 minutes with each other, and it's not that far from Huddersfield to Dewsbury. But I just do not get this at all. And I know Ken Davey hasn't been helped with Kirklees Council. They seem to keep putting a block on any sort of bit of land he wants for them to try and build the stadium. But spending 10 million supposedly at Dewsbury the right answer? No, not for me. And don't get me wrong, the games they've had there have looked great. They took that Wigan game there, you know, and the atmosphere was rocking. There was 5,500 people, and it was absolutely rocking. That's what the Giants want. They don't want to be knocking about in the 20,000 seat the stadium with 2,000-3,000 people in. They want to be there. They want to be, a smaller stadium is needed. Spending that amount of money going to Dewsbury for me isn't the right answer. And I've just seen a comment there: the damned if they do, the damned if they don't. Yeah, I'd say that absolutely are at the moment, but that just seems to be lack of preparation for years and years and years. And this was a Huddersfield side that only just over a decade ago were league leaders, and should have, where they just haven't been able to build on the momentum of that. And I think, it's a real shame of another club having to leave from their hometown. We were discussing this with some of the Whitehaven guys yesterday and saying, well, why are Huddersfield getting so much bad rap? Swinton haven't played in Swinton for 30 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of clubs that aren't playing in their supposed hometowns or over the years, and yeah, it's a shame to see that Huddersfield are having to move out.
Do you know the biggest thing for me, Gaz? The biggest thing with me, this is I can't help thinking, but Ken Davies took his bat and ball home.
Yeah, I think so. He's
not getting what he wanted out of Kirklees Council, and he's thought, I'll tell you what, I'll just go, and then he's going to shoot himself in the foot, because even if he does make some long-term investment in what he's trying to achieve, it's going to be 30 years down the line if anything comes of it. By the time and it could be all done and dusted by then. So I mean, I don't know what your take on this is.
Yeah, I get why they want to be in a smaller stadium. Like you said, there's obviously, like you said, only getting 4,000, including the away fans, in that Huddersfield Stadium. It's not a good look, is it? And again, I go back to what I was talking about with the empty stadiums. Less seats, same amount of people. It looks better. It's a better presentation and a better atmosphere as well.
Yeah, it's like a game of poker, isn't it? You're just trying to kid the person opposite
That's
you.
it.
A couple of St Helens pieces of news. St Helens have confirmed the signing of Solomon Fatape. It looks like they've well and truly crashed the party of Hull FC, Gaz, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a 2-year deal from 2027 onwards. I'm happy with it. Still in his mid-20s. He's still a very good player. I've seen him cause some problems for us in the past. So, yeah, I'm happy with it. I mean, it maybe tells me that one or two people are being offloaded. I believe Nenny McDonald is one of them. He's not obviously signed for a year. He's not being extended, so they're straight up replacement for him there. No,
and that's it, mate. He's only going to bring some that benefits that Saint haven't had for a long time. The next piece of St Helens news is the veteran winger Tommy Makinson, who is now playing for the Catalan Dragons, he will hang his boots up at the end of the current season. I mean, we said in our group, didn't we, a couple of days ago when this was announced, that he's probably one of the great wingers of the Super League era. Gaz, I mean, just give us a wrap on him, because I know you're obviously a massive fan of Tommy's.
Yeah, I won't take too long with it. I'm going to go into more detail on Thursday, but yeah, I mean, he's in my all-time Super League wingers, Super League Saints side. I think he's going to be in a lot of people's. He's very, very professional player. He's had his little moments where he's given a little squill grip on the old spuds, but yeah, I mean, what a player. He's turned up for us week after week after week. Done some important things, and in my opinion, the greatest try assist of all time in the 2020 Grand Final.
Yeah, good call, mate. Good call.
All I can say there is, Tommy, thank you for everything, mate.
Yeah, and he deserves that credit, mate, because you don't get many servants that serve a club as long as he did. So fair play to him, and that needs to be respected. I've got two Jordans, got two Rhinos supporters. My questions will be first to Jordan 1. Tommy Makinson or Ryan Hall?
What, prime?
Prime. Who's the better of the two?
You can play both of them. One plays left, one plays right.
Yeah, well, like, hypothetically speaking, who's better? The
Ryan Hall.
Wingers out there.
Ryan Hall.
Ryan Hall. Jordan 2.
Ryan Hall. Don't get me wrong, I like Tommy Makinson. I really do like Tommy Makinson. He's, as guys said, I think he'd be one to go down as one of Super League's top wingers. But for me, Ryan Hall. And got his name, didn't he? He got the world's best winger, and that's what the Rhinos sung for years. Yeah, he at the time he was one of the best wingers in the world, and maybe not so much now. Obviously the last few seasons, but he's still doing a job. He's Ryan Hall, and I don't think many probably expected us to be saying that still a decade ago that he would still be doing a job for the Rhinos. But yeah, so for me, Hall ahead of Makinson. Don't get me wrong, it's close, but yeah, Hall ahead of Makinson.
I'd say for me,
things are the two completely different types of wingers.
Absolutely,
absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, so it is hard to compare the two, but has Ryan Hall won a golden boot?
He hasn't. No.
Oh, did you hear silence there?
I tell you what, Gaz. He deserves a golden boot from that little kick he did in grand final with Saints.
I know, yeah, spot on with it.
I'm going to even the odds up here, and I'm going to say Tommy Makinson's the better of the two wingers, and for the reason why
what you perceive of the winger.
Yeah, well, it's hypothetically speaking, it's a debate that we like to get involved in, isn't it? It all brings conversation and debate. The only reason I'm going with Tommy Makinson is because now people can say, "Oh yeah, he got injured, blah blah blah," when he was over there. But if Ryan Hall had made it and got a bit more luck in the NRL, I think that'd have topped it for me.
No, I think the thing with Tom Makinson is, which I have to give credit to him. He weren't just a try scorer, what he was decent with goal kicking. He could kick during play if he had a chance to. If say like one of the Saints halfbacks were taken out and it got ball off the cuff sort of thing. Obviously, yeah, we know, don't we? Obviously, didn't he do the drop goal or the drop that hit the post for Wellesby in grand final?
Greatest try assist of all time.
Yeah, I was gathering that's what you meant. So yeah, Ryan Hall for me, he was a better finisher, But yeah, I do understand Makinson. Like say, he had more about him than just scoring tries. So, what does that mean?
That means you're being a clown. Shut up.
Have you seen how professional we are, Jordan?
I'm getting the taste of you guys of what you guys do week in, week out. I like it.
You have to have a bit of a laugh, don't you?
You've got to.
That's it. We've got to have a crack, haven't you? And the final piece of news is regarding the Betfred and their sponsorship deal that ends at the end of the season, I believe. Now, for me, this is a big one because this might be controversial. If they don't decide to re-sign and we don't pull them back in, we're losing a lot here because of the men's game, the women's game, League One, Championship. The sponsor hell of a lot. I mean, I know you're gagging to sort down that microphone, Jordan, too, so I'll come to you first, mate. What do I make of this?
It's a big blow. It is a big blow. But if you're RL Commercial, why have you got all of your eggs in one single basket? Is what I would say. Gaz mentioned it earlier on about marketing of the game. Where's IMG? Where is this massive improvement in marketing and what we were going to see in behind the games? And yeah, there's more people in at games. There is, the figures say that there's more people watching games. Yeah, the figures say that. But where are these multinational companies wanting to sponsor rugby league? And why is it Fred Dunn and he's betting shops that haven't to sponsor every single part of rugby league? And that's nothing against Betfred, because they've been great sponsors for the sport. They've sponsored everything and anything when they've had an opportunity to, whether it be the competitions, the national side, and have been heavily involved for years now. But where is anyone else wanting to step up? And hopefully we may see that now with RL Commercial got, they've been actually able to keep something quiet, something secret, and we're going to be all surprised with who's going to come in, as long as we actually get some dosh from it, unlike the Stop That deal or them from years ago when it was just some advertising onto the side of trucks. If is this a prerequisite, if I can get my words out, of the NRL coming in? Are they not wanting to be aligned with betting companies? I know it's a lot stricter down under at times, and it can be. Could it be that? Are they not wanting to be aligned with that? Could we all be in? Could we all be in for something? I don't know. I might be doing 2 and 2 and add 5 there. But yeah, Betfred have been a great sponsor for the sport. But if you're RL Commercial, they if you're RL Commercial, you now need to get your eggs out of that singular basket and then to start spreading them about.
Yeah, people need to be accounted for now.
That'll be the next one.
That pretty much concludes news rounds, fellas. We've got 10 minutes or so left, so we're going to dash through the preview of round 23. We've had a fair bit of Jordan's time so far. His missus will probably start screaming at him soon, saying, I ain't seen you all weekend because you've been out. So let's crack on with these. As Gaz touched on earlier on, Thursday night, there's 3 games. Hull KR versus Catalan, the Leeds Rhinos versus the Lee Leopards, Warrington Wolves versus York. I'm going to go a Rovers win. Jordan 1, Rovers or Catalan?
I'm annoyed because I didn't even put a thing together, did I?
Don't worry, just let's predict.
Rovers and who, sorry?
Catalan.
Rovers and Catalans. Rovers.
Simple as that. Gaz, who are you backing, mate?
Yeah, I've gone with Rovers as well. Again, home game for Rovers, and we know Catalan aren't travelling well at all this season. I think it's going to be an easy one for KR.
Is it an easy win, Jordan 2, or do you see a shock on the cards from the Dragons?
No, clean sweep for me. See, Rovers should be able to do quite a job with this one. I expect them to be going with this one quite easy. And I think Gaz mentioned earlier on he doesn't like Thursday night games, and there's obviously 3 of them this weekend. Just touching on that, is that because KR and wanting them play again the following Tuesday night? Is this where they've had to shoe on the extra fixture, and is it due to the World Cup Challenge? So yeah, it's a big crap. But yeah, but going back to that, yeah, KR easily.
So all 4 of us in favour of the Robins. Another game on Friday, as I touched on earlier, Leeds Rhinos versus the Lee Leopards. Jordan, is the confidence back after the win now? Now you've beat Wakefield, is it back? And is that how you're going to finish the season strong?
Do you know, it's, when obviously that close encounter with Wakefield, and obviously that keeps that leader shield definitely up for grabs. For me, it's still not 100% ours yet, not by a long shot. The commentary after that game were very weird, because it were almost like saying Leeds had like the last 5 games were against like lower end of table. For me, Leeds could very much lose to Lee. They've got Wigan, they've got Saints. It's a tough ask, is that? For me, that can be just as tough as the Wakefield game. So,
well, Rhinos are at home, mate, so surely you're backing the boys. Oh, there's an hesitation there. Come on, winger all night.
Get off the fence. You shit house, get off the fence.
I'm going to say Lee.
Wow.
Top of the league. Only lost a couple of games all year. And
I'm going to say Lee because I think that scare in the first half, it's going to be hard. I feel like we're going to. That's a sign of something coming. I don't know. That just scared me. That first half really did scare me. I didn't think I'd see that in a Leeds Rhinos side this year.
Oh, yeah, Leeds.
That scared me, did that. And like I said, you play someone else, a bigger team, no disrespect for Wakefield, they're going to punish you for that. I think Lee are going to have the spoils because you do like teams do sometimes like beating it at Dunley. I'm going to say Lee Leopards with the first drop goal.
Lee Leopards with a drop goal from Jordan 1. Surely you're not going with him, Jordan 2, are you? Surely you're back in your second team.
I'm going with the Rhinos. Don't get me wrong, I think it'll be tight. Yeah, Lee are playing some very good rugby at the moment, but I think Rhinos at home, I expect that Arthur's side will have enough to take care of the Leopards on Thursday night.
I think they've got a better team though as well at Lee at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Charnley's firing, isn't he? Armstrong's firing.
Looking
Cook and Lamb.
into it. Concentrate on your own team and you'll be fine.
Yeah, but that's what this podcast is for. We overanalyze stuff, don't we? That's what it is.
You definitely bloody do.
Well, I'm as I said to you last week, I backed Rhinos last week, and I'm going to back them again. And I think Jordan's right. It will be close, but I'm going to go Rhinos by 12. Guys, what are you saying?
There's one factor separating these two teams for me. If this was at LSV, I'll be picking Lee, but because it's at Edinley, I'm going with Leeds.
Yeah, that is a fair call, mate. Definitely is. The final game on Thursday night, the Warrington Wolves at home to the York Knights. Now, as well as the York Knights have been in recent weeks, I think Warrington are just sort of getting them results out. They're just chaining results out without being absolutely outstanding. So I see nothing but a Warrington win. Jordan 2, who are you going with, mate?
Yeah, Warrington for me quite comfortable on this one. I think the Knights, while they're putting a good performance on Saturday against Lee, I think it'll be too much going over to Cheshire on Thursday evening. I expect Sam Burgess' side to put in a decent performance and continue their push for potentially second place. I think it's just out of the grasp now, second, but you never know. But yeah, I expect Warrington to have too much for the Knights.
Gaz, who we're going with, pal?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Warrington on it. I think York might put up. Yeah, I think York could put up more of a fight than you're expecting the Jordan 2, but yeah, it'll be Warrington for me.
Yeah, is there any change, Jordan? Are you going against the grain with this one?
No, I don't think so. I think York will probably put a bit of a dint in. They might score a few tries. But yeah, I don't see Warrington doing any different than last week, to be fair.
No, that's it. One random game on Friday evening, lads, where we're normally used to seeing all the games, or at least 3 of them on a Friday evening. Hull FC at home to the Cast Tigers. Now, this could be a right absolute slugfest, couldn't it? Basement battle, bottom of the end, bottom table, toppers, whatever you want, I don't even know what it's called. It could be anything. That's what I'm trying to get at. I mean, Gaz, we're going with this one because it's literally is a spanner in the works of this one.
Yeah, this is one then where you watch these like heavyweight boxing fights where they're both getting on and they're both trying to land mix in the 12th round, but they're moving about as quick as a snail. It's going to be that kind of a game. It's going to be scrappy, but I'm actually going to go with a Hull FC win. That's the first time I've said that all season.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan 1, who we're going with, mate, and why?
I think after Hull FC's performance, it did seem to spark them up a little bit for playing. I think they're going to absolutely punish Cass. I'm going to say high scoring against Cass.
They won the reverse fixture as well, didn't they?
Yeah, 40 plus. I'm going.
Yeah, well, if my memory serves me right, Hull FC have only got 2 away wins all year, and Castleford was one of them. So I'm pretty sure Castleford will want to get one back on the black and whites of Hull FC. Jordan 2. Who are you going with, mate? It's going to be an ugly game.
It depends if the best side of any of them comes out or the worst side of any of them come out, because on the day, both sides can play some decent rugby league, but also they can be absolutely awful. I'm going with FC on this one. Yeah, I think FC at home. I'm not quite confident it'll be 40 plus points as Jordan won is, but I think FC should have more than enough. I just think Cass are probably tapping out now for the season with that, and FC should be more than comfortable on the evening.
I'm going to go with Cass Tigers. You're never going to see me back in Hull FC. You'll see me 10 feet under before you see that.
You see, you should. And you've got family with black and white.
That's more of a reason not to back them. But no, there's a bit of method in my madness, fellas. I just think, Castleford got a good harding against us at weekend, but the few times Castleford have turned up, look who they've beat. And that's not a dig at you, by the way.
I just personally feel like that thing with KARLS gonna, they're uncertain, aren't they? I know sometimes that can turn tide and people can play better with stuff going on in the background, but I think they'd win anyway, FC, if I'm being perfectly honest. But I think with that going on as well, I think that's gonna rattle players a little bit, if I'll be honest. I think that's what's gonna happen.
No, that's fair enough. Saturday's first game is a 5:30 kickoff. Wakefield at home to your beloved St Helens. Gaz, I know you're having a bit of a torrid time of it, mate, but is there a bit of positivity there that you can go and maybe shake Wakefield up now they've got a defeat last week?
Yeah, hopefully I'll be too married to give a fuck at the time.
The answer's not always drink.
It is when it's before 40th. I'll tell you that. But I mean, like I said, I'm proud of what the young lads are doing, but especially in the middle with that pad that Wakefield have got, though. I think they're going to absolutely dominate us. I'll be surprised if it's looking nilling.
I'm going to say something now that's you three. It's going to prick your ears up. I'm going to say this Wakefield game is as important as the last game they played against the Rhinos on Friday night, because we'll see what type of reaction we'll get from Darryl Powell's men after a defeat, rather than winning every other week and keeping the momentum going. When you've had a difficult defeat like that, an intense game, it really shows what characters are in that dressing room now. So I think it's a really, really important game for Wakefield. Jordan 1, how do you see it going?
It's probably the game of the round for me. It's the potential. The game could be a really, really exciting and a tough battle. I think if Saints turn up, I think that's kind of where it lies. I think Wakefield are going to be there and they are going to have that intensity. I think if Saints match them, I think that'll be a really tough game. I think if Saints don't, Wakefield, I reckon Wakefield could do. I'm not going to say I don't think anyone is going to trounce Saints. I don't think they're at a point where they're going to get 40 points past them. I don't think that for 1 second. But I probably would say Wakefield by maybe 12.
Wakefield by 12. Jordan 2. Who are you going with, mate? Are you in agreement with Jordan 1? Or do you see Saints really, having a shock on the cards?
I just can't see it. I think Trin will have more than enough. I just, like I say, it's that reaction, isn't it? That reaction. I think Darryl Powell have had a big week in training now. Sort of, they've had their noses bloodied late on against the Rhinos, and I think that's it. That'll be them settled now. And Saints are doing it tough. We all know what's going on with Saints at the moment. Gaz more than most, of course, but yeah, I just think Trin will have enough, and Gaz will have quite a many pints that he doesn't have to remember it on the Sunday morning.
Oh yeah,
that's probably the best thing we've analysed in this part of the results predictor, isn't it?
Yeah, so come Monday, don't expect me to know what I'm talking about because I won't remember any of it.
Just
if I
next Monday.
Remember rightly, this is the decisive weekend, isn't it, for Saints? Because if
Leeds
if
beat
Lee
Lee, we've got
if Lee
a
beat
lifeline.
Leeds, yeah, if Leeds beat Leeds, it's over, isn't it?
Yeah, 'cause the points difference will never catch you.
Yeah, and that would mean that there'd be 6, wouldn't they, in front if you lost, which then it'd be over, wouldn't it? Yeah, like I say, I don't like saying it because obviously we know this isn't the Saints that we used to seeing. But we could also say this about Rhinos when if we'd have done this podcast many years ago when Rhinos.
I thought you'd already predicted Wakefield. You're not going back on your word, are you?
No, I am predicting. No, I did say Wakefield.
Do you know what?
Saying,
right, okay.
In what time would you see Saints being the underdog playing against Wakefield?
Yeah,
that's a credit to Wakefield for where they've got to be fair.
Yeah, it certainly is. Right, moving on swiftly. We've got two predictions left. This next one should be really, really easy in my opinion. Bradford is the destination of the Warriors at 6:30. I'm going to say Wigan by 40 points. Jordan, 2. Are you going with that, or do you think it'll be a bit closer? I'm sure you're predicting a Wigan win.
Wigan by plenty. By plenty. I just feel that Bradford, we said they're doing it tough. They're down on bodies. They're down on men at the moment. And Wigan will be wanting to continue their form going into obviously what will be a playoff campaign. And they're looking to regain the Super League crown. So, yeah, Wigan by many for me.
Wigan by many. Gaz, are you backing what we've just said, or is there something else you think might happen?
I think Bradford will have a go for the first half an hour, and then the floodgates will open. And then Wigan will just start running away with it.
Yeah. There's a pattern developing here, Jordan 1.
Yeah, I reckon 40 plus.
40 plus. And who could argue against that? Final game of the round is an 8 p.m. kickoff. Toulouse Olympic at home. So the Huddersfield Giants. Now, Huddersfield have been great the last few weeks, but that trip over to south of France, you know, it can be a real struggle at times, and I think that will be the difference. I mean, how do you see that one, Gaz?
I see a Giants win. You know,
you going for it?
Not by many, probably by about 6 to 8 points, but I see a Huddersfield win.
Yeah, Jordan 2. Are you backing Gaz in terms of what he's saying there, or do you see something else happening?
I'm going with the French outfit. I'm backing Toulouse. I just think they play very good rugby. Ollie Ashelbot out the back. If he can take control of the game, will be. I think him and George Flanagan going up against each other. Who will be the dominant fullback will be a really interesting part of that contest. But yeah, I'm backing Toulouse on that one. It's going to be another warm evening in the south of France, as it always is this time of year. But yeah, no, I'm backing Toulouse to get the victory at home.
Yeah, and Jordan, I'd seen you nodding your head there when Gaz said he fancied the Giants. I take it you're in agreement with Gaz?
Yeah. I think Huddersfield will do them. Yeah. I can't really even give an explanation for it. I feel like they'll just do them. Probably similar to Gaz. Yeah, I don't think it'll be a nice scoring game. Maybe 6-8 points. I'll just say 10 points between them both. I do see it as No, I just wanted to stay on that with what Steph was saying. I didn't know if Bot was still injured, but yeah, apparently he is.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know if that changes your prediction, Jordan, but that's the reason why Leeds were so dominant over Toulouse when I went to the game, because Bot wasn't playing. They were seen very flat. So for me, if he's still out, I think that just makes the game even more of a one-way sided. If that makes for me personally, I think Huddersfield will win that game.
Yeah, that's it. Well, all the questions and all the predictions will be answered and revealed come the end of the weekend.
Can I just say something, Carl?
Yeah, of course, mate. Fire away.
I think this Leeds and Lee game is going to have massive ramifications on the Saints and Wakefield game. If Leeds win, Wakefield will see that as we need to catch up. And if Leeds win, we see an opening in the door. So I think if Leeds win that game, I think that makes the Saints and Wakefield game better. I think if Lee win, I think we shut up shop then. I think we just don't bother.
I like I say, I don't even mean,
but, you know,
I don't even mean this disrespectful, Gaz, to Saints. Yes, I agree with what you're saying. I personally don't see Saints giving it that much, though, for me. Like, say if Saints were playing like Saints and they were in this sort of battle, yeah, I'm fully 100%. I would back Saints 100% to get in that playoff position. But I think because they're still struggling, and you've got to kind of need Rhinos to beat Lee, and you've also got to beat Wakefield. I think it's a tall ask for me. I like I say, I don't want to shit on your parade, mate.
I know, but if Leeds win and we can somehow pull a win off here, that makes the Saints and League game very, very interesting.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. But Wakefield, you've got.
This is all hypothetical. You know what I mean? It's all hypothetical. We could probably not win a game.
What we'll do, fellas, we'll finish on the note that that's why we love this competition. That's why we love this game, because this time of the year now, every point, every win, every conversion, it can all matter, can't it, to one team or another's, where they're finishing the table, how the season sort of peters out for some, and then obviously, you know, it escalates for others. So everybody's got something to play for, barring Huddersfield and Hull FC, I would say. So I think that's a fair comment that you both made. Just before we sign off, Jordan, too, we really appreciate you coming on, mate, and giving us your take on everything rugby league and letting us into your comms and everything that you do for BBC Cumbria. So again, mate, thank you on behalf of us three on the podcast.
No, cheers, gents. Pleasure's all mine. Pleasure to sit down and have a good 2 hours discussing the greatest game of all, of course. And I wish you all well.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Yeah. So again, big thanks to John and Weir. They're really good insights. Levy says you can get drunk with me. Steph, I don't want to come anywhere near you on that game. Sorry, mate. I'm going to get absolutely hammered by you. But yeah. Big thanks to Jordan. Thanks to everyone in the comments and watching. We really appreciate all of it. Everyone getting involved, even in the WhatsApp groups as well. Thanks to Steph for the video. It was a very, very good one. And big thank you to Acorn Joining Release for their continued support. And remember, the podcast is for the fans, by the fans.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Cheers.